The 7-day Carnival event in Capybara Go, can you complete it without spending money? Yes, you can. Today, I'm going to tell you how I did it and hopefully make your life a little easier. Now, before we get into that, I want to say that today I claimed 16 new promo codes inside the game and started posting videos on them, but by the time I went back to the first one, they were already out of uses. So if you do want to get these promo codes, head over to the Discord and let them know, hey, this should get switched over to a time base or you need to increase the uses on them. But the 7-day Carnival event, this is something that a lot of people question, is it possible to get done? And as I said, I was able to do it. And where I did play a good amount, I didn't really overplay, but I did have to grind a little bit. Now the reason for completing this is you want that revival cloak, which is going to give you a revive at 20% health when you die your first time. Yes, that will go up to 50% when you get the next rarity, but you will need 3 of these things to fuse together in order to get it to that point. So having one more is a big help. And the fact that there is 19 pieces of S-grade equipment inside the game, getting 3 of these might be a little bit of a trouble. Now the chests along the way will give you 1,000 gems, 5 of these legendary keys, 150 pet eggs, and also 3 pet chests. Out of all 7 days, you'll get 4 tasks each day. In the first 6 days, each one of those tasks when you complete will give you 5 points towards that 150. The 7th day comes in though with each of those tasks being able to give you 15 points. And that's what you're really gonna be going over at, is what you can get out of that final day. For day 1, you'll have to beat Chapter 3. In Tower of Explorers 3, when you finally unlock the tower, there's gonna be 10 stages to 1 tower. So figure you gotta get about 30 stages in, complete that. This is an easy thing to do. For open 10 chests, you have to wait till you beat Chapter 3. This is gonna be those things like we saw for that 4th reward there, that pet chest. And draw equipment 10 times, that's going to be using keys inside the game that you get from beating things, or if you go and purchase some legendary keys. Which, by the way, in my opinion, for doing this, you should be saving all your gems up for those legendary keys and wait until you get enough to do a 10 pull on it. Day 2 is going to be beating Chapter 6 and then beating Towers of Explorers 6. Once again, these are easy things to do. And even the open 100 pet eggs is another simple one. Now the make 2 purchases inside the black market, this is one that is easy to get, but there's a smart way to do it. When you go over to the black market, there's a bronze chest in there for 120 gems, usually the cheapest thing you see inside there. You're gonna wanna buy that one time for 5 days. And I know what you're thinking, it only says to purchase 2, but when we finally make it to day 5, you'll actually see that there's purchase 5 things for the black market. Day 3 is going to be completing Chapter 9, and this might take you a little bit to get there, but don't worry, the event, even though it is 7 days, it will last for 14 days altogether. And Tower of Explorers 9 too, once again, shouldn't be an issue as long as you're playing the game a good amount. Draw equipment 50 times is an easy one to go by, and then use 1,000 stamina. I don't want you to go and use any gems for purchasing stamina inside the game, and we'll talk about that once we get closer to day 6. Day 4 is going to be completing Chapter 12, and now we have complete Tower of Valor number 2. So where Tower of Explorers was up to 10 of them, so in other words, 100 stages in there. Once you beat that, you then move on to Tower of Valor. You go to 1 and then 2, you'll have to beat that. Reach 150k is nothing you're going to struggle on, but we'll talk more about the power once we get to day 7. And open 100 chests, this will be pretty simple for you as you just play the game and unlock more things. Now I find it pretty straightforward, but I might as well say it anyways. You want to go through, find anything with a red exclamation on it, and make sure you're watching an ad inside the game. That even goes for going over to the black market, going to the bottom, and watching the ad for the coins for 1,000 of them. Now by the time you get to day 5, this is probably where you're going to start questioning yourself, is this possible to get this done? And I assure you, it definitely is. You'll be able to get it if you just follow these tips. And that's going to require you to beat the main Chapter 15 and also Tower of Valor number 5. We also have reached 500k in power, and you can also see there our black market one of making 5 purchases. You can see here on day 6, I had the stamina one, which is getting used 3,000 stamina. And that's one that I didn't complete. You can go and purchase stamina 4 times every single day with gems, and you can get a total of 60 of them. Now, if you go and times that across the board of all 14 days, that's only 840 stamina that you can get, and you're wasting a whole bunch of gems. Now, it's not technically a waste later on when you want to go and travel inside the game. It is actually very beneficial, but this is something right off the bat, we want to focus on pulling from those legendary chests. The main Chapter 18 and Tower of Valor number 8 are ones that do seem like it's not going to be possible, but once again, if you just keep on playing, keep on upgrading yourself, it definitely is possible. And that's the same thing going with 1,000 pet eggs. That one wasn't really difficult at all. Now up to this point, every one of these quests has only been 5 points that were given. And if you complete every single one of those ones, including the stamina, which we don't want you to complete, that would be 120 points, meaning that on day 7, you would need to complete 2 of these quests. Now the first one you see here that I didn't complete, that's going to be recharge 1 time. And whenever you make a purchase inside the game, well, that's going to go and pretty much give you that little quest. So that's how you can tell I haven't spent any money here. But if you are going to go over and do it, I would go find one of the deals for 99 cents and just get one of those just to claim this. Now completing Tower of Fighters 3, which by the way, Tower of Explorers, Tower of Valor. Now we beat 200 stages altogether. We had the last 30, which is going to be those Tower of Valor 3. But that's probably going to be the first one you complete out of all these quests on day 7. And once again, if you play the game through, it won't be too terrible. But these are the tricky ones right here. Complete chapter 20 and then get yourself to 2 million power. And if you think you're going to get one or the other, turns out you need about 2 million power in order to beat chapter 20. Now that chapter took me a bunch of tries to get it down with having close to 2 million. I think I was starting to get pretty close around like 1.95 million, but by the time I got over 2, it was still a little bit of a fight. And 2 abilities that really helped me out was damage reduction increases every single round, and then the other one being attack increases every single round. Those are 2 OP skills I have. I started off with the damage one because the 5th boss that you run into on the first wave, there's going to be 2 of them. They're a pain in the butt, and they usually end up just crushing you before you can do enough damage to them. When it came to the second stage, where I think I only had to face 3 monsters inside that, but having increased damage every single round was a huge help. Now I play a lot revolving around the daggers, and you do kind of have to feel out, hey, do I have enough attack against these guys? The next time I go in, should I grab a little bit more health? But the fact that you're going up against, say, 5 different pairs of monsters in a 30 round period, you really want to do the things that are going to be stackable until the end of battle. And you also want to avoid abilities that are going to be things like only do this on round 1 or round 5. I probably played this thing maybe 20 or 30 times as underleveled below that 2 million power, and then when I finally got myself over the 2 million power, I think it took me about 3 or 4 tries. Now, as I said, these are going to be the 2 hardest things. Beating chapter 20 and getting your power over to 2 million. But there is some tricks we can do to get ourselves over that 2 million mark, or even do it a little bit earlier, just to kind of help you out with some of those other quests. The first one's gonna be using your pet food to figure out which of your pets you can go and take to level 5 increments. So level 5, level 10, level 15, these are where they're gonna get character attributes to give you an extra buff on that 2 million power. The first 3 stats for Mythic and Legendary will give you a 5% boost, the next ones for Epic and Rare will give you a 4% boost, and then Common and Uncommon will give you a 3% boost. And this is something you'll have to play around with recycling your pets. Don't worry, you won't lose any of the currencies, but there was times where I had a level 10 common and brought it down to 5, and then went over to my rare and brought that up to 10. You just gotta kind of play with it and see what's gonna do the best for your numbers. When you do unlock mining inside the game, then that's where you can go and start building on your characters to give them extra stats. But as far as the numbers that's going to help you increase your attack powers are going to be the ones that you have equipped inside the game. For me, that's Flash and Little Elephant, and the actual skills we want to get inside the build are going to be the global ones. Global attack, global hit points, and then global defense. Yeah, you may see one in there for like an increased attack towards bosses, which sounds great, but these are the ones that will help those numbers. The other big help for you is going to be your gear inside the game. And just from playing over that 7 or 14 days, however it's long, you'll find that some of this stuff is kind of spread out. Yeah, you probably put a majority of it into the weapon and even your armor, but you still have those rings and accessories kind of leveled up a little bit. Your main focus should be putting as much as you can into the weapon and the armor, and then whatever you have left for blueprints and then actual stones to upgrade, then you can kind of spread them into whatever else. But you'll be amazed at how much the weapon and armor really tack onto these numbers there. And of course, once you find some gear that you like, you do want to try to take it up to Epic +2. Now you see, I do have a legendary ring here, which isn't anything that's really a necessity on it, but just note when you are going and fusing pieces of equipment together that you will need 3 matching copies of Epic +2 in order to take it to legendary. So my suggestion is when you are fusing things, if you are taking a couple of rings up to Epic +2, you want to make sure that main one is the same as the other. That way, if you get a 3rd ring, you can go and fuse that together and make yourself a legendary like I did. It really is going to make a big difference of how you're going to fuse things together. Yes, you can refund the materials that you get, but you might not get the actual gear back. You'll just get some scripts to be able to go and take another piece of equipment. So really try to focus on 3 of the same on what you want to upgrade. But those are the main things I focused on inside the game myself. I did spend every single piece of currency from mounts to hammers. I wasn't saving anything for events because I wanted this cloak real bad. Not saying you need to do that, because when it comes down to it, when I did complete this, I still had about 2.5 days left, so I probably could have just stretched it over these other couple of days, but it's nice that I got out of the way and I don't have to worry about it. But if you want to get those promo codes before anyone else, I try to post them the second I see them, but if you want to know which ones are still working inside the game, take a look at this video right here. Thanks for watching, and remember, I pick my butt.